Hey, what's going on? While making these commentary sort of videos, I think the hardest part is not so the production, because I think these videos are really easy to make, just when it comes to, all I have to do is get good audio and then some random gameplay and splice it together. It's not too difficult, but what gives me the most trouble is actually coming up with ideas that I can talk about. Because I think what makes these videos meaningful for me to make is being able to create something that is my own, in the sense that it's coming from me. The topic or gameplay or whatever may not be original, but it's my kind of experiences. And what I've been experiencing, I think the most in the past 3 years is change. That is the kind of broad word I guess I could use to describe what I've been experiencing and going through and just trying to work through. You know, whether it's getting new jobs or moving houses, making new friends, or even changing up the style of what I'm doing on this channel. You've seen it over the past couple of years. I have changed very drastically from what I used to do. And I just thought it would be an interesting topic to get into and to talk about kind of the change I've been experiencing, what I've been going through, and maybe some similar stuff to what you guys are going through. I think the perfect example and one that everyone can look to of how I personally have changed is the content I make, how I present myself on the internet as a whole, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, and also just how my goals have changed. I grew up watching large YouTubers, watching Let's Players, high quality stuff like Rocket Jump, reviews, all that type of stuff. And I, got this idea of like, I want to do that. I want that to be my job. I want to grow up to create this style of content and make a living off of it. And that has kind of devolved as I've changed as a person into this just kind of becoming a hobby. I don't want to say a passion because I'm not really putting my all into it, but it's something I am, to an extent, pretty passionate about. These videos always do mean a lot to me because I think it is a public journal in a sense where I can kind of describe things that I'm not very clearly able to describe to the people around me, but I can put into a video form and just kind of shove it out there, ignore it for a little bit, come back within a couple months and see comments and how it did and stuff like that. And it's fun. It's like a hobby in between, stuff going on in my actual immediate personal life. But going back to YouTube, I grew up watching all these people and it kind of gave me the idea of, I want to be a famous YouTuber. I want to make money off of this stuff. It's going to be great. Live in like a phase house, do stuff with friends, all that type of stuff. Most people that grew up watching YouTube had this kind of thought. And over the years, I've been doing this for, I'd say about 8 years now, over the course of multiple channels. I went from filming my screen playing Minecraft or Call of Duty to sitting in my room with a blanket over my head and a mic in front of me, opening up about things that I don't think I'd ever talk about publicly. And I really like it. And I actually, my old channels are all privated, but a lot of my older videos that actually are still public and that you can go see from like 3 to 4 years ago, I kind of like having them up. I think it's such a cool way to go back and see how I've progressed and what I've been through. It also shows just how much I've changed as a person and how much people, I think in general, can change. Over my personal growth, I've kind of learned that I think judging people off of things they've done years ago is not necessarily fair. I've had plenty of friends who have done things to me, let's say 3-4 years ago, and up until like a year or two ago, I was still holding those grudges, even if I've never continued to speak with those people. And, unless it is something major, I've just tried to let it go, say, hey, you're both going through things at the time. Maybe you're still going through things. I know I certainly am. Let's, in my head, I'm talking to myself in my head, obviously, when I'm doing this, but, let's stop all the passive aggressiveness and stuff like that. This led to me actually reaching out to some people I thought I would never talk to, and for a long time didn't ever want to talk to again. And I would just reach out and say like, hey, how you doing? And every single time, I got ghosted twice, but out of the multiple times I did this, every single time it went really well. We caught up. We don't talk regularly or anything like that, but we, ended it on a good note. If we never talk again, I will know that, everything's cool. And that just inside gives me a lot of peace. It gives me time for my mind to rest and focus on other things. The anxiety of, oh, this person is probably judging me. They're looking at my socials and they're, looking at things I'm doing. I don't need that. I have so many real issues in front of me that having the stress of like cyberbullying or people on the internet judging me is just too much. I mean, kind of this channel, putting all of this mental, I don't want to say weight, because I think a lot of it isn't like hyper serious, but it's just, you know, stuff that I think usually people don't talk about publicly. Putting that out there on the internet kind of gives me clarity in a sense. Just letting this stuff out. Stuff that for, you know, 15, 16, 17, 18 years has just been inside of me. And I'm assuming is inside of a lot of people. You know, a lot of people, I think deep down are good people. People that just don't have someone to talk to or kind of struggle to communicate their feelings. And I guess I'm just kind of getting derailed here, but my personal growth within the last 3 to 4 years, especially within the last 2, has been so drastic compared to the rest of my life that, you know, I really do try not to judge others off of things that happened a couple of years ago. Now, I think there are obviously some exceptions. Like if you've been a bad person for your whole life and you're like, you know, way past the age of puberty or something like that, you know, chances are you're probably not going to change anytime soon. But I still try to give those people the light of day. I think very few people wake up and think, I'm going to be a bad person today, or I'm going to be mean today. You know, very few people think that, especially, at least from my personal experience in America, life kind of sucks a lot of the time. And this isn't me getting political or shitting on America or anything, but I think a lot of people are just trying to focus on getting their next meal, seeing their friends next, getting off work. A lot of people aren't really thinking about their day-to-day life of how they're treating people. You know, if you've ever worked in the service industry, I think you will be able to see this firsthand. A lot of people don't think twice before saying things or thinking about how they treat people. And if you ever worked in those jobs, it can really give you some perspective on how others kind of just go about their life without thinking about stuff like that. And I think it's important. I genuinely do. I think everyone should be working on that. You know, everyone should be trying to become more retrospective. Everyone should be trying to work on themselves, realizing bad habits mentally. And I think it's an easy thing to say. I think you hear that a lot. You know, constantly work on yourself. You know, self-improvement is key. And you hear all this just jarble from people online trying to sell you self-help books. But for me personally, I was in a situation about 2 years ago where I was kind of forced to change. I was forced to, you know, start treating people differently, start looking at the world differently. Because if I didn't, I don't think I'd be here. And because I was forced to do that, you know, maybe unfortunately at the time, but I'm happy that happened. And I think I'm able to really go about my life differently than I did the entirety, maybe 90% of my life that has happened so far. And I think if I can just leave with anything, you know, I want to say at the end of the day, me sitting here can't, you know, make you immediately on a dime become retrospective, can't immediately on a dime make you notice your mental habits or change, you know, negative things going on in your life. But I think what it's really important to realize is that, you know, when this can be said about anything. You know, I know it sounds corny, but at the end of the day, if I can leave you with anything, it's that, you know, working out, you know, problems with your, you know, significant other, working out issues with your friends, going to the gym, you know, issues in your career. At the end of the day, the drive to change or the drive to improve always has to come within. And that sounds so corny and so like I'm about to fucking promote a self-help book on Amazon or that I'm drop shipping. I'm not, I promise. And I also don't want to sound like I'm preaching. I just think it's really important to realize that uncomfortable thoughts are what you're gonna have to face to ever make a change. And it can also just be small things like, you know, if someone's rude to you at work, the immediate reaction everyone has is, what the fuck? Why they treat me like that? To, you know, change it to being, you know, someone the other day treated me terrible at work and I was just kind of like, you know, what the hell? And then, you know, right after I tried to think, well, they're probably going through something. And I carried on without my day, never thought of it again until right now when I just thought about it when trying to talk about this. And I think it's just little stuff like that. And I think that has to come from within. You know, it has to come from you genuinely wanting to. I mean, why do you think in January so many people sign up for the gym and then in a month they stop going? It's because they get that adrenaline rush of, oh, it's the new year, I gotta start doing da-da-da-da-da. Take it slow. You know, little things. Even if you're not doing anything actually productive, you can just think like, okay, I'm gonna have this thought of, I wanna get better. And as long as you're just taking little steps or even subconsciously thinking about it, I genuinely believe that some progress will be made. You know, you will be 80 and still going through stuff like this, but at the end of the day, you will always be better than you were a year ago or the year before. And I think that's really important. Whenever I'm done kind of recording stuff like this, it always feels really preachy, and I'm sorry if it comes off that way, and I don't mean to. I also don't mean to make myself seem like a saint. I record these things because this is just what I'm going through, and I hope that me talking about it can help me, 1, and 2, help other people that might be going through similar things. But yeah, I think that's all for today's video. I'll try to upload, a little bit sooner than 4 months, but that's just how it is. Things happen. If you made it this far, I genuinely would like to hear it in the comments. It's always great to see people that actually watch through the full thing, because I know a lot of people don't. Understandable. It gets a little boring sometimes, but yeah, thanks for watching.